I'm Claire Winslow. I'm 35, a captain in Naval Cyber Command. But at my brother's promotion ceremony, I was tucked in the third row, dismissed like a guest instead of family. My father, the great Rear Admiral Winslow, once told me, "You'll fold under pressure. Stick to the yearbook club, Claire." They said I wasn't cut for the real Navy, that I'd never make it. I let them believe it. But when Admiral Lyman stopped the ceremony, walked into the crowd, saluted me, and said, "Your cyber protocol saved my team," everything changed. Ever been written off by your own family, only to rise higher than they ever imagined? Tell me in the comments. I'm listening. I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, where the Navy wasn't just a career, it was gospel. My grandfather commanded destroyers in the Pacific. My father, Rear Admiral Winslow, briefed presidents. Our living room was a museum of folded flags, medals, and plaques no one dared touch. Service wasn't a choice, it was inheritance. But the rules were clear. Men led. Women stood beside them, hosting receptions, looking graceful. You could be smart, but not smarter. You could serve, but not overshadow. I didn't rebel. I just didn't fit. At 9, I beat my brother Jake at a logic puzzle Dad brought home from Japan. He laughed, not proud, dismissive. Game's probably broken. At 13, I cracked a Cold War cipher from one of his manuals. He found me hunched over his desk, grinning. "I think I solved it." He didn't smile, just ruffled my hair like a child. "Stick to yearbook club, Claire. This is for men who run fleets." That night, something in me sealed shut. Not broken, just done waiting to be seen. At 17, I applied to the Naval Academy in secret. I ran at dawn, skipped prom, solved encryption drills during lunch. No one noticed. No one asked. When the acceptance letter came, I placed it on the dinner table, hands trembling. "Annapolis," I said. I got in. My father didn't smile. He pulled out his wallet, laid a crisp $100 bill between us. "Bet she's out by week 4. Jake chuckled, easy and certain. No one hugged me. They didn't drive me to the academy. Said it was too far. So I took a Greyhound. 6 hours. Alone. No goodbye. No send-off. Just a girl with a duffel bag and a vow. Make it. No matter who believes. Annapolis didn't ease you in. It stripped you down. Day 1. Boots slammed, names barked, chaos thick as humidity. But I thrived. Not because it was easy, but because finally, no one knew my name. No one expected anything. No one doubted me. Yet. Whispers came fast. "Winslow? Like the Admiral? She must be legacy." They didn't know my father would rather burn his stars than pull strings for me. I got tested. Fast. During small arms training, I noticed my M16's sights were off. Subtle, but dangerous. I reported it, got brushed off. "Maybe you bumped it." I hadn't. Weeks later, in a cyber warfare sim, a power surge fried my terminal mid-drill. My wrist took the brunt, nerve damage. Pain shot through my bones like white fire. Diagnosis, surgery, months of rehab, possible discharge. Alone in the infirmary, curtain drawn, I stared at the ceiling. I'd done everything right. And still, I was broken. I wrote home, not begging, just reaching. 2 weeks later, a letter came. From my mother. "Maybe this is a sign. You've always been so bright, Claire. Maybe find something steadier." No word from Dad. Nothing from Jake. But then Lieutenant Sarah Denby walked in. No knock. No pity. Just a folder dropped on my tray. 3 ciphers. Solve them by Monday. I blinked. My wrist was in a brace. She pointed. "Your brain still works, doesn't it?" That was the beginning. Every week, harder drills. She didn't care about sympathy, only precision. The Navy doesn't need fragile, it needs forged. I trained with pain, typed through tremors, studied while others slept. By graduation, I was top 5% of my class. My salute? Sharp. My uniform? Earned. My family came as promised. Polite claps. My father shook my hand like a stranger. You made it through, he said flatly. But let's see how you hold up in the real Navy. I smiled back. Not from pride, just muscle memory. I didn't tell them I was joining Naval Cyber Command. They didn't ask. A year after graduation, I led a joint cyber op that stopped a cascading attack on U.S. ports. Billions in infrastructure. Thousands of lives. All on the line. We traced the breach, neutralized the threat, and contained the fallout. The after-action report bore my name, Captain Claire Winslow, top line, bold. That night, I called home. My mother answered, distracted. That's nice, dear, but when are you settling down? I paused. Mom, it was a national-level threat. We stopped it. She chuckled softly. Of course you did, sweetheart. Then passed the phone to my father. Lieutenant's a start, he said. But most wash out in cyber. Don't get smug. I stared at my own commendation, still warm from the printer, and realized they didn't just miss me. They chose not to see me. That Christmas, the house smelled familiar. Pine, cloves, roast. But the silence had teeth. Jake had finished SEAL training. His trident gleamed like destiny. Photos of him lined the mantel. Flag pins on every guest. He was the Winslow legacy now. I sat quietly, holding an unopened gift. I had just returned from a classified cyber op that protected global supply chains. We just completed a major op, I offered. People are safe because of it. My father didn't look up from carving the roast. Claire's doing her tech stuff, he said. Jake's out there leading men in the real fight. The room laughed. Jake grinned. Hope your servers didn't crash, sis. Later, in the kitchen, my mother said softly, You were always the brainy one, just not cut for the other path. That was the night I stopped trying to be seen, stopped offering pieces of myself they'd never hold. And when I left, no one asked why. The invitation sat on my kitchen counter for 5 days. Jake's promotion to SEAL lieutenant, gold embossed, formal. I almost threw it out, but in the end, I went. Not in uniform. I chose a navy blazer, white blouse, polished flats. My captain's board stayed locked in a case. Just here to celebrate, I told myself. Not to prove anything. At the base, my mother spotted me first, rushed over in coral, always clashing with navy blue. Claire, you made it! My father stood beside her, arms behind his back, nodding once. Good you could show. Jake shrugged. Didn't think you'd want to revisit Navy days. I smiled, light and unreadable. Wouldn't miss it. Inside, the auditorium buzzed with polished metals and dress whites. I sat near the aisle. Alone. Admiral Mark Lyman took the podium, voice crisp as ever. He praised Jake's leadership, valor, promise. Then, he paused. His gaze swept the room, until it landed on me. It didn't waver. Before I close, he said, I want to acknowledge a quiet force who saved more lives than she knows. He stepped down, walked through rows of officers and families, and stopped in front of me. Captain Winslow, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Your cyber protocol saved my team during the Quran breach. I never got to thank you. Silence. Dozens of heads turned. My mother gasped. My father stiffened. Jake's jaw slackened. A junior officer near the front stood. Ma'am, your blackout framework, it's standard in Joint Command now. More voices joined. Names I didn't know. People I'd quietly protected. I stood slowly. My blazer suddenly felt too light for the weight of the moment. Thank you, Admiral, I said. But today's about my brother. He nodded. Understood. But we see you now. And just like that, the story they told about me unraveled. Later, in a side room, the three of them cornered me. Pale. Stunned. Why didn't you tell us? My mother whispered. We didn't know. I looked her in the eye. Because you never wanted to. A week later, my father called. No middleman, no email. We'd like you over. No guests, Just us. That Saturday, I stepped into the house I hadn't entered in over a year. The porch light was on. The steps swept clean. Dinner was cautious. Words chosen like navigating a minefield. Halfway through, my father set his fork down. "I owe you apologies," he said. "Not one. Many." He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. My mother touched my hand. "We thought we were guiding you," she said. "But we were protecting ourselves." I breathed, steady. I stopped sharing because every time I tried, you made it smaller. Jake, quiet for once, spoke softly. "We made it hard for you to be open. That's on us." No one cried, but the air lightened. A wall cracked. 6 months later, I stood on a stage in Washington. The Navy Cross pinned to my chest, one of the few times my work saw daylight. My family sat in the front row. Jake saluted first. My father stood, shook my hand, then pulled me in. "You've redefined Winslow," he said. "I didn't do it for the name," I replied. "I know," he said. "That's why it matters." Afterward, a reporter asked, "Captain Winslow, what does this moment mean to you?" I looked past the lights, the cameras, the crowd. It means I was never lost, just unseen. If you've ever been overlooked by your own family, if your silence was mistaken for weakness, drop a comment. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories of quiet strength and impossible comebacks. Your voice matters. Even if they never heard it, we do.